ballet's got to open up its appeal a bit, hasn't it? I mean, it can't sort of stick in the 50s. And I think she has done that. Just by looking like a modern woman.
I was someone who actually had to be pushed, and I didn't mind being slightly scared. It became more of a challenge to please them. I mean, there's a Freudian thing in there. That's a bit worrying. But there was a code of behaviour, but you sort of knew why it worked. It's actually really all about manners in a way.
When I got into the Court of Ballet, I wouldn't have approached a principal with no way. You know, you'd wait until they spoke to you. And it's totally changed now. They'll come up to you and ask you something straight away, maybe on their first day. If I'm in their place at the bar, you know, some girls go, I'm there. And you go, oh, hang on a minute. I always stand there. What do you mean you're there?
Darcey, she's my favorite ballerina, first of all, and I love to dance with her. So once I was there in London and I said, what do you think about to go and dance in Russia? So she said, it's a great idea, you know. I thought she should try once in her life, you know.
It was obviously wonderful to be invited to dance with the Kirov in St. Petersburg because basically ballet originated there and the history behind that theatre and who's performed there was probably more of a pressure than actually doing Le Bayadère.
The Kirov can pick from all over these little children and they pick them on physique. And so therefore they tend to have better physiques to work on as instruments than we have. I mean, they may not even have the desire to dance, but certainly when it was communist regime, they had a life. You know, they were taken and their parents gave them and they had a life. And they were all trained, you know, looking for the perfect physique. That was lovely. Yeah. But whatever happens, don't be developing before you're up. Out, because that'll carry.
I was never thought I'm going to be a ballet dancer, but so it happened. I mean, like all the kids, you know, Mom said you have to go, and you know, age 16, I said so I should really, you know, become a dancer. So I went to St. Petersburg.
Yeah. Now you can run around like that and meet her.
Can you go that way? After I went to the Kirov in January, Igor came over here in July to dance with me.
No, suiting you out. Yeah. I was on a panel with Irina Baronova. She was a Russian dancer that got out of Russia a long time ago, and I happened to mention about why are they doing all this Russian stuff, and she said, "Darling, Donald, don't say Russian, say Soviet." And it's absolutely true. We were taught by the Russians. The Soviets cut out all the mine because it was imperialistic, they didn't believe in it, and so they shouldn't be precious about it. We are closer to the Russian school than they are. And
probably the worst thing for you to cope with is when you know something so well, but there are changes. And poor Igor did have some problems there because he kept going back to the version he knew.
You watch a girl, you go out here, this is it. That was taking a risk. God. Yes, run.
In Russia, the hierarchical system in a company still exists. You're earmarked as a soloist, as a corps ballet, as a principal. They, I have to say, don't look very friendly to each other. And this showing that you perhaps earn more is still, it's a bit of a time warp still there. Not that I don't find it appealing, actually. I find it rather riveting to watch, but it is another world.
In Russia, being a ballet dancer is quite a major career to have. You're quite respected. They definitely act like that as well because they're all beautifully glamorous and they have beautiful clothes, and even coming to class, they look, all made up, like they're coming on for a film set or something, or for a performance. But it's just the way they are. I did notice when I was there at the Kirov that I don't think I was very welcomed. Possibly because they don't have many guest artists at all. And you did notice that because they were incredibly surprised in everything I did, even though I wasn't much different from them. I could get my legs up in a développé and I was like, oh, you can do that. And, oh, she can jump. Oh, yes. I did get quite a few faces looking upon me, not very encouraging and not very helpful. Admittedly, I had just had 2 weeks off before I went to the Kirov, so I wasn't feeling the best I've ever looked anyway, so that didn't help. I think they didn't really consider me as good enough to be taking their shows away from them.